A brave researcher asked a pretty challenging question. What if WADA, that has established a 2.4% rating at how many Olympic athletes are actually using some kind of banned substance, what if they established that number under a false pretense? And could it be challenged? For example, WADA's inability to test for a large array of the compounds that are on their banned substances list. I mean, there's numerous peptides that aren't even on the list as of 2025. And what he actually found was that close to 40% of all of the athletes that he had asked within the Olympics were taking some sort of Sizul, meaning that almost half of all of the competitors in an anonymous state admitted to using some kind of banned substance to improve their performance. While this might actually sound astronomically high, I don't actually think it's even close to true. I would actually vouch that there's way more people using banned substances and they just are too afraid to even closely admit it. The reason I bring this up is because this is one of the most micro-scrutinized and dissected sports in the world, or the Olympics in general. Yet when asked privately, a lot of these athletes, off record, admit to using various different compounds. And the claim that a lot of people have, and which we cover on this channel, claiming natural, really falls to shambles when you consider just this fact alone. Not only that, but Olympic athletes, who some of them are even gold medalists, average at about, which is really crazy to think about, $20,000 to $40,000 USD per year, with the highest earning individuals earning just a little bit under six figures. I know influencers doing way over $1 million a year from posting their physique online. That actually isn't the point of the video. It's just an anchor to set into modern fitness and health. You may have actually heard of something called the Enhanced Games, and if you haven't, let me briefly fill you in. The Enhanced Games is a concept that promotes the idea of allowing athletes to openly use performance-enhancing drugs, removing any and all restrictions and the stigma associated with doping in traditional sports. It was started and funded by an Australian entrepreneur, Aaron D. Souza, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, who envisions a sport competition where basically athletes can push absolute boundaries. Human performance can be truly tested, even with all aids involved, without the dogma of the current anti-doping restrictions. Essentially, this guy wants to take the leash off the dogs. In his Instagram bio, he very clearly states, on a mission to build a new superhumanity. This is actually really important for the context of this video because what you're about to see is truly insane. To understand clearly, his goal is to basically become the principal platform for all human enhancement products, as he says.
Our goal at the Enhanced Games is to usher in the 10th age of mankind, that I don't intend to live forever. I'm not like Brian Johnson. And so in 50 years, we will live in a world where we have almost X-Men-like superpowers, and we will say, why did it take so long? I would like to be among the first superhumans.
To also commercialize the pharmaceutical side of sports.
We're going to become the principal distribution platform for all human enhancement products. We're going to become the Amazon of human enhancement.
This is very interesting because unlike the actual Olympic Games, there is no other form of making money. The broadcasting is free. To enter the games is free. To get sponsorships is almost impossible, but they do have private funding. So the main commercialization of the Enhanced Games would be to basically promote pharmacology use. We actually have a product of the Enhanced Games right now that I think is pretty bizarre. James Magnussen, an Olympic medalist swimmer from Australia, multi-time world champion, and holds many all-time records, several gold medals and several silver medals and even more bronze ones. Born in 1991, he started breaking world records at the age of just 20. In these early times, his nickname was the Missile, and he truly looks inhuman going through the water. It's actually perplexing how fast this kid goes. Now, the important part about James is that he was one of the first major athletes to join the Enhanced Games after saying that he would happily juice to the gills if they gave him a $1 million bounty for a world record breaker. Aaron and his team accepted.
If they put up $1 million for the 50 freestyle world record, I'll come on board as their first athlete. I'll juice to the gills and I'll break it within 6 months.
So of course, a few months later, we got this inhuman physique. showing up at the starting line attempting to break world records. He hasn't actually done this yet in terms of competed for it, but he's done attempts in training. Later, a man named Christian, I'm not going to try to pronounce the name. If you could put it up here, editor, that would be great for the people. Stole it. He came quicker, faster, and got that $1 million. Out of the gate, people really didn't like this. Comments on several posts say things like, imagine cheating and barely beating the world record, or doesn't count, with enough clown emojis to fill an entire room. While other people, of course, shared the thought of it being entirely welcomed and something that's new and interesting, and probably more people would find as entertaining than what's out there right now. The truth is, this is all something that's new, but also old at the same time. Drugs have been used in competitive sports since the dawn of them becoming competitive. Anything that you can do to gain the upper hand on your competition is seen as necessary. You have to get to the goal, but it's also something that's always been looked down upon. And James hasn't missed out on that controversy either.
How has that come in the form of? What type of backlash have you got from it?
Probably the main thing straight away, right, was like, what about the kids? Like, what sort of role model are you being for young swimmers? And you know, that was definitely something that that's probably the hardest part of it, right? But I think for me, I can separate my career because I've been retired so long. Retired for 5 years. I was probably one of the most tested athletes in Australia during my career just because of the way that it panned out. So for me, I can separate those two careers and say to any young athletes, hey, this is what I did in my career as an athlete. And for me, my goals were always around Olympics, world records, all that world, which is heavily tested. And, you know, I adhered to that my entire career. So there's never been a question mark over that side.
What is really beautiful about this whole process is that this is all regulated. It becomes something that there isn't just supervision on what people are doing. There's also given medical guidance. These people don't just walk in and say, I'm blasting to the gills, ready to go. They have medical professionals who do regular lab work, physicals, and much more to see if individuals are healthy who are actively competing. They also allow people to use things, but only things that are FDA approved and able to be prescribed by doctors. The Enhanced Games has an entire staff built from the ground up to help these athletes to use these things wisely without compromise.
A really important thing, and something that I think is going to change a lot of people's perspective on this, any substances used during the games must be FDA approved and prescribed by a medical professional. So it's not going to be buying things out of the boot of jacked guy at your local gym, right? This is all done by doctors, with doctors, under medical supervision. I'll be getting constant testing to make sure that I'm not having any ill effects. And if there are any ill effects of any substances at any stage, I would cease use of those substances and look to alternatives.
And in today's age, where most people get their information from a subreddit or some awful forum that's historic, and it's usually entirely wrong, where they have almost no information and then very little ability to test their health in any capacity, I think that's a huge win, because right now you have men and women just blasting basically anything they can get their hands on from research chemicals which have not been tested in humans and other androgens at profoundly high doses, all just to get a bit of performance gain. But now we're going to have medical professionals guiding that first step into the direction of performance enhancement. And I just love this rule so much. If we are going to allow people to become enhanced, when you are enhanced, you can only use FDA products. The rules are really simple. Sin City is going to be one of the big first venues for the Enhanced Games, May 21st of 2026. James will be there amongst many other athletes to win $1 million. But what is more, the private investor group funding the Enhanced Games is paying out more for just being involved than the Olympics would even afford to pay its athletes in a given year. A tasty treat for the guy who's been secretly using T-ball in the background under the table without any medical supervision, hoping he doesn't screw his health, while also just making barely $20K a year winning silver medals. So here's the real question, and the real reason I actually made this video. We side tangent a lot there. This is a great example. The people who are partaking in the Enhanced Games are phenomenal creatures that we can use as very, very clear evidence as to what somebody can expect when they become enhanced, because many of them are already huge winners in the given sports that they play. Gold medalists. They are the best in the world. And at this point, they're really only coming to this version of competing because they can make astronomically more money by doing the same things, but without the freaking restrictions that WADA places on them. But let me ask you a really critical question. Do these individuals look enhanced like you would imagine? For example, the guy that broke the world record and won $1 million, or you have Andriy Gorvat. Editor, could you please just write the name? I'm so sorry. I just can't pronounce it. And to be honest, this guy doesn't even look like an Olympian. But again, he's a world champ of the butterfly stroke. Whatever that is, it sounds quite peaceful. Of course, he's going to say it feels great to be taking PEDs. It feels great to be on this side of the line.
How are you just personally feeling today?
Actually, I feel amazing because I'm feeling alive. My life is changing, and having a chance to have this unique opportunity to be somewhere that world are evolving and taking part of it. It's just a privilege. So I believe all of these new connections, new vision, and all these things that's happening around us, it's beautiful. We could use it for good.
Look, what I'm trying to say here is you have some of the best of the best in the world stepping up to bat in the enhanced games to make some more money. Now taking performance-enhancing drugs, fractionally getting better at those world records. I mean, again, they only beat them by about 0.2 seconds. We cover a lot of things on this channel, and most of those things are women abusing steroids, turning themselves into hyper-masculine versions of themselves, but we also talk a lot about fake naturals who are basically making money off the idea that they only use natural supplements to get huge. The reality is that the best in the world are now starting to use steroids. They're getting paid better to show up stronger and without restriction. And this isn't just the Olympics, which is what I'm getting to here. This is all of fitness. You get paid more to look better, almost in any realm. The videos where I'm shirtless and posing with my fucking shredded abs and all that stuff, I get way more interaction than the videos where I'm not, even if it's helpful content generically. If we have the most genetically elite individuals using steroids, barely squeaking out the world records, barely 0.2 seconds, and really not looking that insane compared to their natural counterparts, can we realistically believe that these people claiming natural when they're 18 years old are actually this way? Can we realistically believe that the Olympic winners of the past decades have been able to keep their numbers up so high and improve year after year without any form of enhancement? I mean, did food really get that much better? Did the training really get that much more advanced? Did people start younger? Did we lose ethics and put people into militant training camps at the infant ages? I don't think so. Can we realistically believe that there isn't incentive to take steroids? Ones that are so freaking strong that they're enough to even sway the most dedicated naturals' belief. Imagine if I told you could take one shot a week, one small shot a week. You would be basically feeling no different. You would have no physiological harm to your body, and general health markers would be maintained pretty robustly. But as a result of that one shot a week, you started to accumulate income. Not just an income, a really good income. Let's just say on average, you were making about $15,000 a month. For somebody who's barebacking at a bar, making $4,000 a month, really struggling to get by, sounds pretty damn good. And they're in the gym every day anyways, so why not make it profitable? It sounds almost too good not to bite. And again, we have people who are literally saying that they've trained for 3 years, are 18 years old and completely natural, yet bigger than Larry Wheels. Larry Wheels, again, is a professional powerlifter and a professional bodybuilder, has been taking steroids for the past 10 years openly and admittedly, and isn't even close to the size of this kid. I mean, at least his arms, which is ridiculous. But there's also another side of this. Imagine if women started openly talking about how bad the side effects from steroids have been. Imagine if they put themselves out there to truly receive critical feedback about their situations and what they've done and what they've put themselves through. Imagine if we had education and medical team to provide them help and assistance when they needed, and instead of hiding these symptoms just by posting fancy pictures and showing the sunshine and rainbows, when they crop up, you talk about it and have a medical team to say, hey, this is why this is happening. You need to stop doing this. And that there's probably better options to performance enhance. Look, what I mean to say is that these people, the crop of fake naturals that are just spawning right now, it's like crazy right now. I don't know if you remember in like Halo 3 where you would be in team deathmatch and you'd wipe the fucking team. Like you would wipe the team, you'd go over to their spawn and you'd wipe them, and so the spawns would switch, and so they'd start spawning on the other side of the map. It's kind of like what's happened. There used to be these fake naturals back in like 2010-ish era, 2012, 2013, 14, 15, and then suddenly everyone started to just attack and attack and attack and call out the bullshit, prove people wrong, really make it obvious, and then suddenly they shrink. They don't keep coming up, they don't crop up. But now we've come to this other side where we've had people openly talking about their drug use for so long that it's almost like the spawns have switched again, and now we have more natural people claiming that they're natural, but they're actually massively enhanced. Look, what I mean to say is that I think the world would be a hell of a lot better if people started to talk about the enhancements, even if it is a little bit scrutinized. I think it's much better than just going quiet and trying to lie to everybody and deceive them into what you're doing. And I love the fact that the enhanced games is coming out and really putting all of this to the test. Like you can't say that you're just 1 in 1 million, because the Olympic people, I'm not familiar with the lingo here, but they are phenomenal. They are literally the best of the best. They've been training since they were kids. They've been put up against 12 other children all month, every year. I don't know what I'm talking about, but you understand what I'm saying. They have so much competition, so much head-on-head competition. They came out on top and they won in the entire world. They won the best medal, the gold medal. Now they're becoming enhanced and they're barely squeaking out world records. Barely squeaking out. They don't look that much different. I mean, besides James Magnuson, he's sauced to the gills for sure. There's no doubt about that. But regardless, the other guys look very, very, very normal. They don't look much different from when they were natural, yet they're, I don't know, like the whole point here is that it's great to see people are getting paid more to do a sport. It's great to see that they're getting paid more to openly say that they're using something in which they've probably used before. Let's be for real. And we're seeing now that when this happens, when this is exposed, the reality is, wow, maybe a lot of people were on steroids. Because quite frankly, you can't put higher octane fuel in a car and it not go faster. So if we're maintaining the world records with all the assistance available to an individual that they could need to break those records, what's the natural side of that? What are they doing over there? What are they eating? What's in their Wheaties? And the same goes for fitness and influencing. It's like, what is in these influencers' Wheaties? What are they eating? Because I know people who have been on steroids for 5 years and don't look like they do. I know people who have been on ridiculous amounts of gear and haven't. Gear is steroids, by the way, or another form of performance enhancing compounds, and they haven't achieved a physique like these people have. You can't just say it's a 1 in 1 million thing, because we just have too much of a sample pool. We have a huge pool of sample data to collect out there. And with the enhanced games coming out, it's like, geez, I don't know if you can make the argument that that individual is just 1 in 1 million now. I don't know. Tell me what you think. This is just sort of a rant, but I hope you enjoyed the video. What do you think about the enhanced games? It's kind of interesting. I think it's a really great way to, one, keep people doing things in the safest possible way and not leaving it up to their own devices to damage their health. Two, it's a great way to openly decriminalize and de-tabooize the PED usage, because honestly, the shit is ridiculous in the United States. Again, for people who haven't gone and left the walled garden they've lived in their entire life, most other countries, it's completely legal to use steroids. You can even just go pick it up at the pharmacy. It's just a very odd place we are in America. I think it's a good thing. But what I think is more important is it will really, really start to shine transparency on all of the people who have claimed natural and swear by it, even though we have the best of the best using steroids and we can get measurable outcomes from them. All right, that's it. I hope you had a good day and I hope you continue to have good days. I don't know.